You went into great detail about what's happening, particularly in China. I just wanted to go over something that I felt wasn't asked, which is fiscal second quarter sales, $45 billion plus or minus 2%. $8 billion of lost revenue opportunity, specifically relating to China in H20. It seems as if you made up somewhere some demand for a different product or from a different geography or from a different corner of the market. What was that?
Well, we got a whole bunch of engines firing right now. The biggest one, of course, is the reasoning AI inference. The demand is just off the charts. You see the popularity of all these AI services now, ChatGPT, Gemini, so on and so forth, Grok. I mean, they're just doing incredibly well across the board. And all of the APIs that they serve out and all the agentic AI services that are built on top of them, they're all doing incredibly well. I think that there's just a giant breakthrough in AI's capability, and inferencing has just become a giant workload. Second, people realize that Blackwell is just a home run. NVLink 72 is a home run architecture. We designed it to be a thinking machine, a reasoning AI system. And I think people now, the confluence of the breakthrough in reasoning AI and the availability, now the emergence of Grace Blackwell NVLink 72, perfect timing. I think that's at the core, a big part of it. And the second part of it is that our supply chain is growing, and we're really ramping it up, and they're doing fantastically for us. And so all of these things are all coming together.
And so it is fair to say that some of that additional supply on Blackwell and the demand for Blackwell kind of made up for the opportunity lost in China, at least in the outlook for this current period?
Yeah, I guess so. But, you can't underestimate the importance of the China market. This is the second largest AI market. This is the home of the world's largest population of AI researchers. And we want all of the world's AI researchers and all of the world's developers to be building on American stacks. And so, irrespective of the near-term revenue success that we have, we can't ignore the fact that the Chinese market is very important.
You explained, again, in some detail, that at least in the Hopper architecture, you have engineered down to the lowest spec possible. It's not possible to do anything different with Hopper for the Chinese market. But in your consideration for a different architecture or a chip for the Chinese market, is that what we're talking about, a new design or new class? And have you made that proposal to the administration, just designing from the ground up a new chip?
We're still thinking through that. They're just the limitations are quite stringent, quite limited, if you will. H20 is as far down as we could take a Hopper. We don't know how to make it even less, and so that's really the limit. So there are main, the limitations are quite stringent. So we have to really think through it. Whatever we make ultimately has to add value to the market, and so it's a really tightrope because the Chinese competitors have evolved and advanced greatly over the last year. Like everybody else, they're doubling, quadrupling their capabilities every year, and the volume is increasing substantially. And remember, these are data center chips. They don't have to be small; they could be quite large. Without American technology, the availability of Chinese technology will fail the market. And so, whatever we offer has to at least be competitive and has to add value to the market.
Increasing macroeconomic instability, geopolitical tensions, continuous tariff fights, export controls, and growing rivalry from Chinese companies are some of the issues that have affected NVIDIA's stock in recent months. Investors shouldn't allow the short-term commotion to divert them from the company's long-term growth possibilities, though, as seen by its recent earnings performance, which includes its strong financial first quarter of 2026. NVIDIA's first quarter fiscal 2026 earnings results, which ended on April 27th, confirm the company's dominance in the market for hardware, software, and infrastructure services driven by artificial intelligence, AI. In the first quarter, data center revenue jumped 73% year-over-year to $39.1 billion, while revenue jumped 69% year-over-year to $44.1 billion. In the upcoming 10 years, These tailwinds have the potential to increase NVIDIA's market value to above $5 trillion. At least for the foreseeable future, NVIDIA's hegemony in the AI chip industry, where it still holds a greater than 80% market share, should not be challenged. The company's most recent Grace Blackwell 200, GB200 graphics processing units, GPUs, allow businesses to execute computationally demanding AI reasoning models at a 20% lower cost and with 25 times the performance of Hopper H100 chips. Nearly 70% of data center compute revenues in the most recent quarter came from the Blackwell ramp-up, which was NVIDIA's fastest product launch ever. Nearly 72,000 Blackwell GPUs are already being deployed weekly throughout major hyperscalers' data centers, and they want to rapidly accelerate output this quarter. Additionally, NVIDIA anticipates that production sales will start by the end of the second quarter and is now sampling GB300 systems at major cloud service providers. These systems offer 50% greater high-bandwidth memory capacity and 50% more inference computing performance than GB200, but sharing the same architecture, physical size, and mechanical and electrical characteristics. Thus, cloud service providers can take advantage of improved performance by switching from GB200 to GB300 systems. Additionally, NVIDIA's software ecosystem has grown into a robust moat, guaranteeing that switching to rival CPUs will be unaffordable for consumers. Currently, 5.9 million developers use the company's extensive CUDA parallel programming framework to efficiently speed up GPUs for a range of general-purpose applications. Over 4,400 applications and all AI models are currently accelerated using CUDA. Consequently, in a market that is changing incredibly quickly, CUDA helps keep large infrastructure expenditures from becoming outdated. In order to guarantee the quick and effective operation of big language models, the business also introduced the TensorRT software package for inference real-time deployment of trained AI models optimization and the TensorRT LLM software library. In the initial deployment phase, NVIDIA teamed up with Humane, a recently established AI startup backed by the Public Investment Fund of Saudi Arabia, to construct AI factories using 18,000 of its most recent GB300 Blackwell processors. NVIDIA is also a major player in the Stargate project, which aims to invest $500 billion in US-based AI infrastructure over the next 4 years, according to OpenAI, SoftBank, and Oracle. Over time, these strategic partnerships may prove to be important growth drivers for NVIDIA. By the end of January 26, 2025, the chipmaker's revenue had increased by 114% to $130.5 billion. The corporation is still expected to grow rapidly, even though analysts are predicting slower revenue growth rates for the upcoming years. So, what implications does this have for NVIDIA's stock? Let's explore that. But first, a big thank you to those of you who've stuck with us this far. Creating these videos takes significant effort and dedication, so if you're enjoying the content, please hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and share your thoughts on NVIDIA stock in the comments. Your support truly helps us grow. Now, let's get back to the video.
Does Huawei have an AI accelerator or a GPU that is performant as H20 or is performant of other classes of GPU that you make?
Huawei's technology, based on our best understanding at the moment, and we have a lot of ground truth there, is probably comparable to an H200. And so they've been moving quite fast, and they've also offered this new system called Cloud Matrix that scales up to even a larger system than our latest generation Grace Blackwell. And so Huawei, as you know, is a formidable technology company, and they're not sitting still, and they look for ways to compete, and they're quite formidable.
With that in mind, you've kind of explained the landscape now, NVIDIA's ability to operate in China. I mean, you and I this year alone have already discussed the idea that there are 50% of the world's AI researchers in or from China. But are you having a sense of the vacuum created that those big names, I think about Tencent or Alibaba or Baidu, that were buyers of H20, that they've already pivoted and turned to the offering from Huawei because of the policy that is in place?
Yeah, they have no choice but to, one of the challenges of the changing regulations is the ability for markets to trust the NVIDIA and ultimately American platforms. And so it's prudent, I think, for the Chinese customers to make sure that they develop their stack on Huawei, and because it's hard to rely on American technology at this point. And so that's one of the unfortunate parts of changing policies. But anyhow, I have every confidence that if able to compete, American companies will compete. This is to write off American technology companies is not smart. This is the home of some of the brightest computer scientists in the world. American companies are incredibly competitive. We just have to have the confidence to go compete. And if we have the confidence to compete, we will win.
You said during the earnings call that you trust President Trump and that the president has a vision and a plan. Could I ask if you've talked to him about that plan and if it includes coordinating with NVIDIA on policy adjustment that relates to changes in technology export controls?
Well, obviously, I don't know all of his ideas, but let me tell you about two that are incredible. The first one is utterly visionary. The idea of tariffs being a pillar of a bold vision to reindustrialize, to onshore manufacturing, and motivate the world to invest in the United States, and it's just an incredible vision. I think this is going to be a transformative idea for the next century for us. We're all in on the idea. We're setting up plants and encouraging our partners from around the world to invest in the United States, and we have a lot of stuff going on, and so I'm very excited about that. The second major idea is to rescind the AI diffusion rule, recognizing that this isn't about limiting American technology, but this is about accelerating American stacks around the world to make sure that before it's too late, that the world builds on American stacks during this extraordinary time, the AI era. And so these two initiatives are completely visionary.
In fiscal 2026 and fiscal 2027, NVIDIA's revenues are expected to rise by 52.8% and 23.9% respectively. And with a 69% increase in revenue in the first quarter of fiscal 2026, the corporation is already off to a strong start. Given that, it is logical to anticipate that NVIDIA will expand over the next 10 years at a compound annual growth rate of around 20%. If it does, its fiscal 2035 revenues would total almost $808 billion. NVIDIA's fiscal 2025 net income margin of 55.8% was very high. Due in large part to its dominance in the AI sector, the company has been able to gradually increase its margins over the last 2 years. It is plausible to anticipate that it will generate a net income margin of over 27.9%, its 10-year median margin, in fiscal 2035, even if we assume that it will have to endure some margin contraction as a result of growing competition and scale. It would have made about $225 billion in net income that year if its top line was $808 billion. The current price of NVIDIA is about 32.6 times its projected earnings. NVIDIA's 5-year ahead PE multiple is expected by analysts to be 23.5x. By 2035, if this valuation multiple holds true over the next 10 years, the company's market value may reach $5.29 trillion. Therefore, even with conservative projections, the corporation is in a strong position to surpass the $5 trillion market capitalization. NVIDIA's future AI projects, including sovereign AI, agentic AI, and physical AI, give grounds to believe that its market value may increase even more. The growing need for high-performance CPUs in gaming and AI PCs is also helping NVIDIA. Due in large part to the widespread use of Blackwell architecture systems by gamers, producers, and AI enthusiasts, gaming revenue increased 42% year-over-year to $3.8 billion in the first quarter. With NVIDIA delivering AI-powered networking, compute, and storage solutions straight to business settings, enterprise AI is also emerging as a major growth driver. The $500 billion market opportunity is the focus of the company's enterprise AI platforms, RTX Pro, DGX Spark, and DGX Station. Humanoid robotic systems and industry automation are also powered by NVIDIA's Omniverse and robotics platforms. In light of all of that, long-term investors who want to benefit from the AI revolution over the next 10 years should think about acquiring at least a small investment in NVIDIA. NVIDIA shareholders have had a successful week. The market has expressed concern about the dominant artificial intelligence, AI company, but management has allayed many concerns about its prospects for the future and its capacity to prosper in spite of regulatory concerns that are negatively impacting its financial reports. To stay informed about the latest developments from NVIDIA and the ever-changing stock market, consider subscribing to our investing tutorial channel. We provide daily updates on significant market shifts and key catalysts, so hit that subscribe button to ensure you never miss crucial information. We'd love to hear your thoughts on NVIDIA stock, so please share your opinions in the comments below. Now, let's dive into today's video.
And in the time that you and I have been on air having this conversation, some news has broken from US Secretary of State Rubio, who has said that the US will begin revoking some Chinese student visas. What I wanted to ask you is that with US government limits on foreign student visas, how does that impact a company like NVIDIA? I think about the size, but also composition of your engineering talent here in California and elsewhere in the United States.
I believe the administration still feels very strongly about the incredible importance of immigration. Look, I'm an immigrant. I know many immigrants that came to the United States to build a great life, and many of us have contributed greatly to the technology industry and the United States. I believe that that's going to have to continue. Remember, people from all over the world want to come to the United States. This is just such an extraordinary country with such incredible opportunities. We want the brightest to come here. We don't want others to. We don't want everybody to be able to come here. And there should be rules. But nonetheless, for the ones that really can make a contribution, want to make a difference, we want to make it possible for them to come here and bring their great ideas, bring their great intellect, and help us build a great America. And so I think the administration is all in on that, and I don't think anything that they've said changes that.
Jensen, I surveyed our Bloomberg Technology audience around the world for questions for you, and I think the most common question is understanding who NVIDIA's customers are away from the hyperscalers, but actually many questions about Elon Inc. and whether Tesla and XAI in aggregate might actually be one of the biggest customers you have. You think about not just the data center chips, but the chips specific for Optimus or in the cars, the Omniverse component. Could you speak a little about that?
We do a lot of business with Tesla and XAI. Elon's, as you know, is just an extraordinary engineer, and I love working with him. We've built some amazing computers together. We're going to build many more computers together, and the work that he's doing in Grok, his self-driving car, his Optimus, these are all, every single one of them world-class, every single one of them revolutionary, every single one of them are going to be gigantic opportunities, and we're delighted, I'm delighted to be working with him on that, and so I think the Optimus opportunity is just right around the corner. It's very likely that human robots are going to be robots that we can deploy into the world relatively easily. And this is the first robot that really has a chance to achieve the high volume and technology scale necessary to advance technology. And so I think this is likely to be the next multi-trillion-dollar industry. I'm very excited for him.
Jensen, let's end by talking about Europe. You alluded to a trip you're taking next week. It sounds as if the infrastructure build-out in Europe is coming. Where will you be visiting and who will you be speaking with?
Well, I'm going to leave the who as a surprise for all of you, but I'll be seeing lots of heads of states, and I'll be in France and UK and Germany and Belgium, and I think that it's very clear now that every country recognizes that artificial intelligence, like electricity, like internet, like communications, is part of a national infrastructure. No society could do without intelligence, as you know, and there's an awakening that every country has to take some initiative to ensure that their country and their society has access to artificial intelligence. And so we're really delighted to be able to work with work with the European countries to bring AI infrastructure to them and work with them to build AI factories. There's an umpteen number of AI factory projects in discussion and development, And so I'm really excited to make this trip. We're going to be all over Europe.
CEO Jensen Huang provided a number of encouraging updates, which are not only encouraging for NVIDIA, but also for the long-term prospects of generative AI, and most especially, AI powerhouse Amazon. NVIDIA's most recent earnings announcement left the market unsure of what to anticipate. Despite being the industry's leading chipmaker, the semiconductor giant has made several modifications that some feel undermine its investment thesis. When the Chinese AI platform DeepSeek was released earlier this year, it caused a stir in the industry and caused many to wonder if generative AI development actually required NVIDIA's expensive CPUs. Regulations to prevent the best equipment in the United States from going to China have also interfered with some chip shipments. However, NVIDIA's performance has been excellent, and the company recently announced yet another impressive set of earnings for the fiscal first quarter of 2026, which concluded on April 27th. Adjusted earnings per share, EPS, were $0.96, higher than analysts' goal of $0.93, while revenue climbed 69% year over year to $44.1 billion, beyond analysts' expectations of $43.3 billion. EPS was $0.81, still significantly higher than $0.60 used the previous year. Even after accounting for a one-time charge associated with deliveries, it was unable to ship because of restrictions on the chips it could export to China. However, NVIDIA's investing thesis remains robust due to its long-term view. Huang stated during the earnings call, "We are aware that artificial intelligence, AI, is a remarkable technology that will revolutionize every sector of the economy, including software, healthcare, finance, retail, and, I suppose, manufacturing, transportation, and every other sector. And that's only the beginning." Now NVIDIA is responding to the demand it helped generate. Its most sophisticated chips, Blackwell, are selling quickly and are highly sought after by its major cloud computing customers, including Microsoft and Amazon, the two biggest cloud service providers in the world. During the results call, NVIDIA's chief financial officer, Colette Kress, stated that 70% of data center sales in the first quarter came from Blackwell GPUs, and that Microsoft alone was already utilizing tens of thousands of them. In order to keep up with the rapid advancement of AI, the company is already developing its next generation of GPUs, which will get more potent with each iteration. NVIDIA is developing significantly more potent chips that can manage the inference portion of generative AI, which is currently where there is the highest demand, whereas Blackwell Ultra is already operating in the current quarter. Don't forget to share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Your input helps create a more knowledgeable community where we can all learn and grow together in the world of investing. Stay up to date with the latest market trends, insights, and key updates by subscribing to Investing Tutorial. We're here to help you make smarter investment decisions and stay ahead of the curve.